Alright guys, so I wanted to create a few examples for you so you made sure that you knew kind of what this should all look like. Yesterday in class, you should have created your DNA strand. It should look something like this, where if you notice, the number 1 is at the very beginning, the very edge, and then it works to number 2, number 3, and number 4, and works all the way down. The next step then, as we kind of talked about, was that you wanted to make your mRNA strand. I would lay the DNA like this, so the number 1 is at the beginning, and you have the backbone kind of at the top and the bases underneath. Then what you want to start doing is matching up the mRNA bases with the DNA bases, okay? You can kind of see I've created my full mRNA strand here. Sorry, the video quality is not going to be great today, everybody. I greatly apologize for that. Okay? Now, when I did this, I matched base to base. My T matched with my A matched with my U, my C matched with my G. All right? Now, if you notice, I did not tape my mRNA to the DNA strand. That's really important because the DNA is supposed to stay in the nucleus. And, well, once the mRNA is made, it should detach itself from the DNA and head out to the ribosome. Okay? So, what's important to do is instead of taping the mRNA to the DNA, you need to tape along the backbone of the mRNA strand so that you end up with one long skinny strand of mRNA, right? Once you have your mRNA strand completed, we're going to pretend that it heads out and leaves the nucleus and goes to the ribosome. So now you're just left with your mRNA strand, okay? And it should look something like that. Depending on how you cut them, it might be a hair longer than your DNA strand, and that's okay as long as you've got all the bases in there and everything's lining up. So now we're into the translation process. And in translation, what we should see happen is the tRNA should come on over, match up with the mRNA bases, the codons, and bring an amino acid over. So if I were to do my first tRNA, I would put my tRNA like that, and I would have it match up. In terms of my anticodon, the 3 bases on the tRNA, it would be UAC, because that would match with the AUG of the mRNA. Now, hopefully last night you did your summary sheet, and if you did, you already know that the amino acid that we should be putting with that is methionine. Remember, make sure you're using the mRNA codon on the chart to determine your amino acid. So AUG in your codon chart will end up giving you methionine. Then you'll do your next one. Okay? You'll put your next tRNA in here, and it'll be the UGC in the anticodon with the amino acid serine. At this point in time, you really have to ask yourself what you should tape together. Do we want to tape tRNA to mRNA, or do we want to tape the amino acid to the amino acid? Well, since we want to make a protein, and a protein is a chain of amino acids, we really want the amino acids taped together. And we know the tRNA is going to get kicked out eventually, so that's just a temporary thing that it's attached to the mRNA. So let's tape the amino acids together, and from there, we'll end up making our protein. Once we have everything set, you should have a nice long stretch. And I haven't filled out all the amino acids, that's something you really need to be doing. But you should have a nice long chain of amino acids. And I'm just having you keep the tRNA attached for now. Technically, those amino acids would detach from the tRNA. But I want a picture where I can see, okay, you've got your amino acid, your tRNA, and your mRNA. And I can see how you got that all matched up and ready to go. Mr. Winter has a copy of each of these different templates. If you need to compare it with your own, please ask him for some help. I've also sent him some pictures of what everything should look like. Again, ask him for help if you're needing a little bit of help as you're navigating through this. I hope you guys have a great afternoon and are good to go with all of this cutting. We'll talk about it a little bit more on Friday. Please make sure that you've completed the questions for Friday. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.